Yeah. Hey.
Hey, man.
Welcome in. Yeah. Did the helicopter just land? Did you just roll in?
Either that or I was in the restroom.
I got you. Well, either way, it sounds like a big splashdown. So we're starting off hot here today. Well, hey, welcome to the podcast, Jeff. It's been a minute.
It has, hasn't it?
Yeah, you've been over on the set of Eat the Whole Watermelon recently, so we haven't been here in the studio.
You know that game, it's a challenging game to play.
Yes.
It's a challenging game to judge.
Well, the whole thing's a challenge.
It really is. There's some uncomfortable moments on there.
Oh, man.
For those who haven't seen it, it's really something, isn't it?
We have to be talking to a limited crowd if we're addressing the folks that haven't seen Eat the Whole Watermelon. It's stormed the nation.
It's worldwide.
Yeah. Regis was talking about it the other day.
Regis Philbin?
Yep.
Wow.
I know. I would Google it. You'll find it. That is probably an accurate statement.
He better be alive still.
I have no idea.
He surely is. I love Regis. He was always the most positive, like happy, smiling, entertaining guy. Regis is the man.
I think there's an outside chance that you grow into Regis. Regis, we're getting confirmation, has passed away.
He passed away?
4 years ago.
4
years ago.
Well, that's probably why, honestly, it's not fresh in mind. That's sad. Man,
I
really did like Regis.
Yeah, to the family of Regis Philbin, we have well, hey, we have a guest.
Think how bad I feel. To me, he just died today, just now.
God, I am so sorry for your loss.
I just learned of it.
Yeah.
We've got a great podcast here. That was a tribute to Regis. Love you.
Yeah.
All right.
We're thinking of you, Reg.
Okay.
I think if we knew him, we would call him Reg. Well, anyways, hey, so we have a special guest in the studio.
We better get started before Whitney leaves.
I know. Speaking of Whitney, hey, Whitney, welcome into the studio.
Hey.
Hey, so do us a favor real quick.
Sure.
Formal introduction. Tell us who you are, where you work at, and who you work with.
Okay, so Whitney Smith, RN in the Portsmouth office. So I work with Caitlin as the director and, executive director, I should say. And then Chassica is our director of operations.
Cool.
And then Jesse and I share the responsibility and title of RN
Awesome.
for the Portsmouth office.
Awesome. So you're Team Ohio. That's
Ohio,
exciting. Yeah. Always good to have fellow Buckeye State people, but you're not a resident of Ohio.
No,
Is that right?
No, I am.
You did move to
I went
Ohio?
to the wrong side of the river. I know.
No, that's the right side.
Oh, he loves Ohio.
See,
He's
Yeah.
a native Ohioan.
I know. That's what he was saying. And
Yeah, well, when we caught up, we were in the story of you being in Greenup County. We didn't make it to the end of the story when you jumped to Ohio. Well, God, what a great ending to the story.
Well, I jumped ship when I had to start paying taxes on things because the Commonwealth in Kentucky it's expensive.
Yeah.
So I was like, nope.
Well, cool. So
Jumped to
you are a registered nurse with our Portsmouth office, and so you service along kind of the Ohio River corridor there over on that side of the state, and specifically in that office, that is a former Office of the Year 2 years ago, right? Beckley, shout out Beckley, was last year's Office of the Year. And so you're there with Caitlin and the team, and you guys have had a lot of success especially over Q1 of this year. A busy office, a growing office. An office has been around really since I came along. I remember Andy Hess started that office way back when. That was
5 years ago or so, probably.
Yeah, you could have told me it was 20.
Yeah, time flies along, or it creeps. We're saying it. If you say it, you believe it's 20.
It could be.
That means that time has moved slowly. We don't know what we're doing.
No, it just seems like it was a really long time ago, but then not that long ago. So anyways, well, so tell us about you. What hobbies, interests, how did you end up at Village Caregiving?
So, I mean, as far as hobbies and interests, I mean, I'm a mom, and so I don't feel like I have those. I don't get to have those. I mean, my kids, between my husband and I, we have 4.
Okay.
And then my sister is my sidekick, and she has 3. So it's like I have 7.
Wow.
But they're all great kids, and they just keep us very busy. And I mean, I'm a nurse, and so I work. And we bought a house with a pool, so I don't get to have free time because the pool takes all of the free time with its pool problems. But no, I mean, I've been in nursing. I think I started as an LPN in 2015. So, pushing my 14th, almost 15th year. And from the time I was an LPN, I was in home care and something else. So I've always kept home care in my back pocket. Always had 2 jobs. And, but that was primarily because it was kind of like whenever we had that meeting, it hit close to home for you. And that's really why this started. And that's why I'm a nurse. I mean, it literally hit home for us. And so it became just not convenient, but almost necessary. So following her started my home care journey. But then I was like, I want something else. So I started in pediatrics. And then things just kind of always changed. I mean, I've done pediatrics. I've worked on a rehab unit. I've worked in nursing homes. Again, while always doing home care. And then I did occupational medicine, which was really interesting. I really enjoyed that. So that's really kind of what got me here. And as far as Portsmouth goes, I thought I had been everywhere there was to go. And then Village Caregiving enters my life and it's like, psych, there's so many other counties you haven't visited. Let me show you. But I had taken a position with a company that I really thought was going to be great. And it gave me the opportunity to work from home, which with all those kids, you think is a good opportunity. But it ended
an awful one, depending on how you want to,
well,
you said like 13 kids and you don't leave the house?
I mean, basically.
Oh my gosh,
basically. And I mean, while it was convenient to be home, it was not, because it created a lot of obstacles. But then, there were obstacles just I had in the company itself with not having the support I wanted. But I felt like that part of The Shining where the little boy's at the end of the hallway and those creepy girls are down there. And that's how I felt walking to my office in my home every day. So I felt like a prisoner in my home. And it just got overwhelmingly stressful. And so my mom, she's a property manager for several places in the area, and she had met Caitlin and really liked her. And so I called her one day and I was like, Mom, I've had enough. Like, I can't do this anymore. And she said, let me call you right back. And so she called me back 20 minutes later and she said, you're going to be getting a phone call. Her name is Caitlin. I've mentioned her before. And I was like, okay. And I'm crying. I'm like, I just quit my job. What am I going to do? And Caitlin and I hit it off. And she actually was in her transition over. And she was like, well, I know your mom had told you about this position, but I'm starting with this other company and I think it's going to be better. I think you're going to love it more. And I mean, I was sold. I was like, yes, I want it. Who do I talk to? What do I got to do? Hook me up. And then she connected me with Danielle. I mean, the rest has been history. So it was, it's a crazy timing thing too. So then, enters Village Caregiving, and it's truly been the best decision I have ever made.
Cool.
Yep. I can say without a doubt, 100%.
So we talked a little bit before we came on the podcast about your path to nursing. And I think everyone that becomes a nurse, we joke sometimes on here, some people I think are born knowing what they're going to do with their life. Others come to it a little bit later. You have a really interesting story. You kind of alluded to it a minute ago that you had a family member, a couple family members really, that had a lot of health obstacles as you were growing up, originally with your grandmother. That kind of turned you away from nursing.
Absolutely.
Like, not for me, right?
Nope.
But then later had a family member that required a lot of care, a lot of home care, and that kind of led you down this path. Nursing is such an interesting and vast profession, right? And we are at Village Caregiving, we're always growing. We're always trying to recruit nurses and attract nurses. It is sometimes a challenge, mainly because of the industry somewhat unknown. So it's not where, when you graduate nursing school, you don't go looking for a home care agency to work at, right? You're calling home health, hospice, or the hospital, right? That seems to be the common thread. And a big obstacle that we have, and we're working with Impact Media on this, is to get the word out to nurses that this is an alternative in that professional situation that offers you a lot of life balance and some flexibility. But the big question is, does it still check the boxes of being a nurse for you? Using the skills, having the client interactions, those sorts of things. You're not necessarily doing a lot of the hands-on stuff that you would have been in a typical home health setting, But can you talk a little bit about how that does compare? And be honest, if it's good, bad, whatever, we can always edit it out.
So honestly, and Caitlin can probably kind of attest, I mean, she's not a nurse, but she was on what we call the skilled side of home care. Absolutely. And so she's used to those certain demands and just how that functions entirely. And so, even though I always kept home care in my back pocket and did it either with the family member or, as needed with the agency, I was always still getting that hands-on stuff and then doing the others. And so it's been really difficult to take that step back for me because I'm used to being a case manager and having hands-on in everything I do and following up and physically touching people. And sure. I don't do that. I don't touch anybody anymore. And in some situations, that's a really great thing. Fine too. Yeah. But it's hard to dial it back, and because it's who I am now. And, even as a mom, I've got that instinct anyway, but then as a nurse, that's what I do for a living. And so it's been kind of difficult to dial it back and almost defer the problem somewhere else because I can't do that, whereas I was used to doing that. I feel like I'm pushing my work off on people. So it's been an adjustment.
I see.
But it doesn't mean I don't like it.
Yeah.
We still get the opportunity, though, because I feel like with the VA and even Passport, we're doing these check-ins, these reassessments with these folks. And I feel like in between their quarterly or, semi-annually check-ins with their physicians, we're the eyes and ears identifying, the issues in the home that's happening, in that person's environment even. So it still gives opportunity for me to kind of use those instincts and talk things over with them and talk about medicines I can't pronounce and
sure.
You know what I mean? And we actually, Jesse and I, kind of troubleshooted a medical emergency the other day, and it was kind of a rush of adrenaline, but it was nice because, it was nice that I not only had him as a teammate to help, but, that we still kind of do get that involvement. I hate that it happened with
Absolutely.
the guy,
yeah.
100%. He's well,
Good.
He's fine, because I promise he was always going to be because that's just, I'd set my mind to it.
Yeah.
If I just strap him to my car and take him myself, no. I had to argue with EMS twice to try to get him transported. It was ridiculous. But, we still do have those opportunities to be a nurse.
Yeah.
It's just a little different. And,
sure.
It's still necessary regardless because it's still very big. It's a big part in that person's life, in their, healthcare. Just all of it. So regardless of what I think I'm doing, it's big for them.
Yeah.
So,
well, cool.
I like it. Yeah.
Kind of the last question on that topic is if a nurse is, say, sitting here and they are in Atlanta, Georgia, and we're getting ready to open Village Caregiving Atlanta, and we're talking with nurses about coming over, what do you wish you would have known, or what would you say to that nurse that's making the decision to potentially leave a job at the hospital or at a skilled facility and come to home care? What would you say to them?
It's going to be hard, and especially if, they've had that position for however long. Because people don't want to leave their clients. You form just such a relationship, and even in nursing school, they tell you to almost like disassociate with your feelings. Don't get emotional. Don't get involved. How do you take care of somebody
sure.
and not get involved? And, regardless, at the end of the day, you're still thinking about them. You're worrying about them, even if you're not calling them like you'd call your mom or whatever. It's still on your mind, and you want to make sure they're well. And it's hard to walk away from that, but that opportunity still very much exists. And I can't speak for every place. I have worked in several places, and I will, and it's not just because you're here, and whoever else is going to see this, but this company truly has so much integrity, and I love that. I love that ethics are big and involved and, important and withheld. The integrity is very important. I have never said I was proud to work anywhere. I would admit that I worked there, but I wouldn't say I was genuinely proud.
Sure.
And I would say that. And to me, that's huge because, integrity and those things are big for nurses. I mean, you swear to an oath, you know, and that's a big part of it. And I finally am with a company that also does the same thing. Awesome. And I mean, that I tell everyone, and I'm like, I'm not trying to sell it. I'm not hiring for nurses right now. We don't have that spot. But if you find a spot where you can get in, go, because it'll be the best decision you ever made.
Cool. Well, thank you for saying that. We paid her really, really well for that. But
no, that's really kind. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it is the truth. It is 100%
well,
the truth.
Well, you know, it's funny. So we start the company, right? And it's Matt and Andrew and myself. And I'm a person that has a lot of integrity and honesty. I don't think I've ever stolen a thing in my whole life. I remember one time at a Little League field, I took a Reese's cup because a bunch of friends were doing that type of stuff, and I felt so bad about it. I went and returned it later on. That's the only time I can think about that, right? So it's in me. But you're making a company, and you don't have to think about stuff like that. Culture, there is no culture. There's not even any people, right? And then it gets a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And now all of a sudden the company does have values and things it stands for, and people that are talented like you want them to come and work and be happy and say nice things like you just did. How do you do that stuff? I remember when we would start to, get a little bit of mojo going in the company, and there would be some newspaper pieces written. That's when it kind of started to hit me, like there's enough eyeballs on this thing to where it's not just me anymore. I really want, when there's an article that you go out, that you pick up the newspaper and it's about village caregiving and you work for this company, I wanted the employees to see that and be proud that that's where they worked. That's exactly what you just said. So that you show that to your kids or a friend or a spouse, and you say, hey, look, this is where I work. And be proud of that thing, instead of what's unfortunately too common in the world, which is you see an article about your employer and you're like, oh, these jerks, they deserve everything they get. I just didn't want to be that thing to our employees. So it couldn't mean more to hear you say that stuff. Man, It's been a lot of years in the making to try to keep that way.
Yeah.
Really cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't say it because not being a brown noser has, really gotten me on a list I can't get myself off of sometimes because I'm not a yes man. I mean, because the way I look at it is there's right and wrong. And, I'm just going to do my best. And so my first day, official day, being Nashville, that conference. So my husband was, oh wow, I didn't know anybody, anything. It was intense. So not only was I just blown away by that, but even my husband said, this is a great company. He works, he's in the Air Force Reserves, but he worked at Woodford, and he now works at Pepsi. So, he's in that business, but even he was like, I like being here and around these people makes me want to work here. And I was like, that's insane. I'm healthcare. Like, you don't know anything about this. And he was like, no, like everything about this company, the people that he had interacted with, he was even blown away. And I was like, yeah, that happens on a daily basis.
That is really cool. There's no bigger compliment. Well, that's enough about us. I wanted to ask you a question.
Sure.
So you, obviously, the feeling is mutual. We're tremendously lucky to have you as a part of the team. To people that might be listening to this, they're younger in their career, they're just getting started doing stuff. What do you attribute your success to? Like, what values? What do you think about to keep you going every day and do the best work you can do? You've had a lot of success, and what is that for you?
So honestly, having my own kids, even, my biggest thing is, because like I was telling Aaron, I grew up in Greenup County on a farm. My dad worked his job, and then we farmed, and we were in 4-H. So all my life, and my mom has always worked too. She's always worked very hard. So all my life, it's always been centered around, you want it, work for it, earn it, then you'll have it. And so I want to be that role model for my kids. And so that's my driving force, period, for success, regardless of what path I had, taken, because at the end of the day, I want to be that role model for my girls. But as far as nursing goes, kind of like Aaron has mentioned, like, you don't just know automatically what you want to do. So I've kind of taken the time, and sure, my resume is colorful, but I I just like to think that it's given me experience I can use and kind of attribute here and there. Maybe not necessarily look bad, but
sure. Now we're getting somewhere. So work ethic, number one, you say work ethic. Okay. What are the other secrets to success in this recipe for you that you've learned over time?
Everyone says do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I can say that's probably the biggest thing, because there are days I don't feel like I'm going to work, but I know I'm working, obviously, and, making a change, a difference in someone's life. And so, just figuring out what makes you happy, because you'll do your best job. If you like it, if you enjoy it, you'll do even better. I mean, anyone can show up and, check off a task list, but if you are genuinely happy, so don't stop until you find it. And it might mean 7 jobs on your resume, just leave them off. It's fine. And it's fine. Get the experience and really satisfy yourself, and the rest will follow. And that's, I think, what I've done, because it was funny that home care was just kind of extra, and now it's my main thing.
It's the thing. Yeah.
It's my main thing. So, but I can now take care of children. I can take care of the elderly. I've all these different pay sources, and like the VA. I had never really worked, ironically, with the VA until coming to this. But I have just so much different experience.
Yeah, that's something that we hear a lot. I won't get all into it, but just this morning we got a really touching email from someone who came from a completely different background, wasn't even healthcare, let alone home care. And now they're realizing through the work, and this is sort of like a recruiting pitch, but it's just the truth. You come into this kind of work, and all of a sudden it fills your cup every single day with a purpose that that person, and I think that's common, that person did not expect necessarily. They just didn't know. And now they're saying things like, this is my calling. It means so much to me to see the way that we impact people's lives. And I just wouldn't have known that had I not rolled the dice and taken a chance in home care.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, so you came to Nashville as your first day. You had mentioned before we got on the podcast that you enjoy the podcast that we produce because it gives you an opportunity to learn about people within the organization, which is weirdly enough why we do this in the first place, which was when we look way back, a lot of people think we do it because the money's good. And which,
what do you get paid for every episode of this?
Can I say on air?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know that we're reporting it correctly on our taxes is the challenge.
It's an IRS thing.
Yeah. So,
just beep that out.
Yeah, just no issues on that. So
it's $1 million an episode.
It is $1 million.
You're familiar with Seinfeld?
Yes.
Similar rates.
Yeah. I don't think though that if we got audited that it would show that, because where we do it all in cash and cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So
we better move on.
Yeah.
Hey, do you want a book review?
Do you have a book review? What is on the cover of this book?
Well, you're going to see.
Okay.
I'm going to show you. Whitney? Aaron?
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Hi.
This is a book called Not Fade Away.
Wow.
It's interesting.
It does have an interesting cover.
Yeah.
Now, this fella here jumping, I believe, off of a trampoline into a swimming pool.
I hope, because at that point it looks like there's a garage door behind him, and he looks to just be free falling onto the sidewalk.
Maybe he jumped off of it tells the story.
Okay.
I haven't read it in a minute. I don't remember that part. Sorry. But Peter Barton co-wrote the book, semi-autobiographical here, with Lawrence Shames, who helped him write it.
Okay.
Mr. Barton was a super important guy, CEO of Liberty Media Group, which is a massive company that I believe operates out of Colorado. Owned the Atlanta Braves at one point. Okay, they ain't nobody. He got a cancer diagnosis, I believe. He knew he was going to die, and he took the opportunity to write this book. It's called Not Fade Away: A Short Life Well Lived. Sort of like, here's what I have found was the key to life. and I wish I could just tell everybody this when they're younger. Very reflective and a super honest account of it. So you remember Jim Lehrer from the PBS NewsHour hosted some presidential debates.
Absolutely.
His quote on the front says, "A little masterpiece to be read by everyone. It may be the most honest book I have ever read. Not fade away lit up my mind and spirit, dare I include soul, and illuminated my own life and purposes." Jim Lehrer. It's a good book.
Yeah, and Jim's not a real charismatic guy, so for him to say that is
Pretty cool book. Anyways, check it out.
okay.
Interesting.
What's on your newspaper there, bud?
Well, this is the Sunday business section of the Times.
Anything-
Whitney, you want to do a little Dear Abby style advice column?
We can try.
It's
You're not-
work. It's work related too.
You're not going to believe this.
You no way. You guys have a podcast
Whitney
together.
and I
too?
do a podcast.
You weren't supposed to tell
I
him
know,
that.
I know. Guess the name of it.
It's probably called Ohioans for Prosperity.
No. That's our pack
Oh,
where
yeah.
we elect officials.
Oh, I knew I'd heard that phrase somewhere. It's
no.
called
Yeah.
Ohio Down and Dirty on the River.
Yeah, no, it's Whitney and Aaron, those Buckeyes. That's what it's called.
That's
so just look for that. That's on all the major platforms. But yeah, well, this is what we do. So we may have already answered this one.
I
but
knew that.
Give it a shot.
I'm going to be brief here.
Okay.
I'll give you a condensed version.
Please.
Ready? Okay, here goes. I had a coworker who spent all day going to other people's offices and gossiping. Dun, dun, dun. He finally retired.
Thank
Problem
goodness.
solved, right?
Yeah.
Nope. And I breathed a sigh of relief, but he is still coming into the office at least once a week to gossip. I don't have time for this. I love that sentence. I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I have invented meetings just to get away from him, but then I have to leave my office to attend pretend meetings. I don't know what good reporting this to Human Resources to do since he no longer works here,
Right.
so they have no authority over him. The building is open during the day and anyone can walk in. Signed, Anonymous.
Oh,
what do you
boy.
do with that situation?
That's why I'm in home care.
Buckeye.
I can always leave.
Sure.
You don't have to worry. Yeah. Oh, I have an
Let's say
assessment.
somebody's.
Bye.
Oh, I see. You could just leave the office and go
Yeah.
on a client
Yeah,
visit or something.
yeah.
Smart. Let's say
Yeah,
the advice
okay.
to this person who doesn't
Advice
have
to
that
that
option.
person.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I don't want to tell you how to do your own podcast.
No. Me and her are always debating on this because her answer is always, well, I just go do a home assessment.
I'm
like,
going to
Whitney,
get
that
out of the
can't-
way.
Easy way out.
She's
yeah.
always saying that. Well, how would you, if you had to stay at the office and this person just kept coming in and gossiping, but they were off the clock, they were retired? You can't be mean to them. I mean, Lord Jim just retired. Love his heart.
I mean, at that point, you're stuck with it. I feel like you either run him off and he ain't gonna like it, or you deal with it. And probably what I would do is I would just make up stuff to attribute and just make it worse and just make it fun.
I see. Live in the
Yeah,
moment.
why
When in
not?
Rome.
Why not? You,
Yeah, add to it.
You're stuck living with it anyway, so just make it worth listening to.
Maybe make some rumors
Yeah,
about him.
yeah. Let him talk about that. I bet he won't.
You know, I'm going to be honest. I thought of a lot of possibilities, and that one had not crossed my mind to actually take part in it, but make it worse.
Yeah, why not? Why not? And then, I mean, at least you'll be able to laugh at it, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the
find
oldest
some
advice in the book.
humor.
Can't beat 'em, join 'em. Everybody knows
exactly,
that.
Exactly. And then I would leave because that's what I do.
You would stir it and then go, and be like, well, time for me to get out of here. And Jim's just devastated.
I got to be honest, Whitney. That's some wild advice.
I know.
Hey, listen.
I would listen to this podcast. What do you got?
Okay, well, I'm generally on the wild side of the advice, but I feel like I have to be the voice of reason at this moment.
No. Take it even farther.
No. Okay, so we would kill him.
Oh Lord.
We would, as a team, collude.
Wait a
That just goes to
minute.
show you, if you ever want to come back to Village Caregiving and gossip,
Yeah, we're taking you out. No, I mean, I think so. You could potentially petition whoever is going to worry about the dollars per hour spent on labor. you could petition them and be like, hey, Jim keeps coming in here and is tying the whole team up, like on every Thursday. And it was one thing when he worked here, but now he's not working here. And you could do the financial angle and
make it a work issue.
Exactly.
Smart.
Yeah.
It is true, too.
Yeah. If the rest of the team loves Jim and this...
Ooh. It's been a little while since I ruined a good
I
answer.
know, yeah. But if the whole team loves Jim and this person just cannot stand him because of what's going on, then maybe even not that. I mean, the guy could be a legend at the company, and everyone loves seeing him come in and look forward to him coming in. And it may be, and this person just can't get it. It would be nice to know a little bit more information. But based on what we know, I go the financial angle and tell whoever cares about time spent that we're wasting a lot of time over here.
Do you think that the other employees that he comes in and gossips with are enjoying the gossip too?
Oh,
or
I
is
would
everybody
say.
just kind of probably being like, this guy?
I mean, personally, it's kind of hard sometimes not to, indulge in a little gossip,
Yeah.
especially when you can just idly sit by and listen.
Yeah.
But I guess if I had to go back and give a real
No,
answer,
you don't have to.
Truthfully, who knows? This guy might not have anything. So while I would really want to be like, get out, I'm trying to work, I mean, that might be all he has. And that's like the compassionate side of me. So, that's why I say just kind of make it worse. Let him live his life and have fun with it. And and how couldn't you kind of enjoy that?
I don't disagree.
Would you like to hear the New York Times answer?
Well, I'd love to know what they said.
It's really short. Sometimes you have to be direct with people who are overstepping. This man is no longer your coworker, so there is little downside to politely telling him you simply don't have time to socialize when he comes in. Tell him you hope he is enjoying his retirement and wish him the best in this new chapter of his life. If he continues to stop in, repeat yourself less politely and usher him out of your office.
I mean, we're on the verge of a restraining order. Jim, you can't come within 150 foot of me.
This seems pretty easy, doesn't it?
Well,
He didn't work here.
Yeah.
He's wasting everybody's time. It's not productive, and he's creating a bad culture.
I know. This is where me and you sometimes see the world a little bit different, though. Because
Okay.
I would just see you be like out on the front porch, be like, Jim, car now.
You know what I'd say?
What?
Get the out.
Oh, you can't. No, he would say that, but we're not going to say that.
You can beep it out.
Yes. That's where me and you are a little bit different.
Is that what you meant by a little bit different?
Yeah, that's exactly. If I was looking for an example of how we're a little bit different.
That was an Ari Gold impersonation. You can beep that out, but leave it in. It's all right. I was quoting someone.
Well,
What would you do, though, different than that? I mean, basically, that's what you got to do, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, so let's say that we have a senior member of the team that goes into retirement. They want to keep coming back to HQ and visiting, and they bring tales of disarray with them, right? Yeah, you're like, oh, geez, here we go, you know? And you just kind of suffer through it because he's part of the family. And I don't know. My suspicion is this person is the one with the big problem, and everyone else is just like, oh, that's Jim, is my guess.
Maybe.
Yeah, who
Yeah,
knows?
fair. Okay, well, you guys got a good podcast going.
Yeah, we do.
It's the rivals, yours and Phillips.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
How many of these do you have?
Oh God. I mean, I do it full time. So yeah, I've completely left Village Caregiving LLC, and I am completely over on the social media platforms now. I'm an influencer.
You are.
Yeah. Fame has not changed me though.
Like that shirt you
Hey,
got.
thank you. Yeah, this is from New River Gorge. If you follow Danielle on social media, you'll see that she recently ran a trail half marathon, and I got the shirt as because I was there. Not from the race. They didn't give me one. I had to buy this from a shop. But anyways,
She did a great job. I was there too.
Yeah.
She did a half marathon. The last few miles are straight up a hill. She powered through. It was awesome.
Oh, man.
My wife almost beat my time from years ago.
Sarah
She
was
was
a beast.
flying.
Yeah.
She's a beast.
It was a good day.
Killer.
Well, I think we're about out of time, aren't we?
I want to hear one other thing. When you say you don't have any time for hobbies, what are they really? You gotta have some. You outdoorsy type.
So,
You read a lot.
No,
Binge watch TV shows.
I do. I tell my husband, he hates it, that I watch a lot of trash TV whenever
What's that?
when
mean?
I can. Just
What shows? I mean,
I don't want to admit that.
Oh gosh.
Like Judge Judy or Maury
No.
or
You're talking
No.
like
Netflix?
Real Housewives.
Like just that kind of just.
Oh, okay.
It's a guilty pleasure. Everybody's got it. It's
It
all right.
is. I just like to numb my mind with the insanity and just the stupid that's out there sometimes.
It's a space out and
Yeah.
recharge the
Yeah.
battery thing. Yeah.
But I mean, I do like to be outside. I have to be careful, of course, and check like the UV index before I do that. So to know if I can actually enjoy it or if I'm going to fry
it's
myself.
actually dangerous for you to be outside when it's sunny,
yeah,
isn't
it-
it? That's
yeah.
Because you have fair skin, red hair, and all that.
Yeah.
Man, you got to really pay that much attention to it. Like
I mean,
it's a-
honestly, yes. Do I? No, I do not. And that's stupid. But I mean, I do enjoy being outside. I like to camp. We don't get to do that. I grew up farming, so I like gardening, and I just don't get to. And then I kind of relocated to a place where just physically it's not even possible to have a garden and farm
garden,
animals.
like vegetables or
Like,
flowers.
yeah,
or both?
no, like vegetables. Yeah.
What are you best at growing in that?
Tomatoes probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to have a good tomato garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, you a beefsteak tomato type person? Do you have
Beefsteak, yeah. The beefsteak and the
My dad always
supersonic.
grew
and-
tomatoes. He would send me a text message to say, like, if you feel the earth shaking tonight, it's just my tomatoes coming up.
Wow.
Yeah. Always full of it. He was always full of it.
Yeah.
What else you put in there? Cucumbers?
Oh, so we had like literally an acre garden. So sweet corn
got a
is
lot.
yeah. So sweet corn is really what my family is known for. And so we do a lot of sweet corn, and we had tomatoes and cucumbers, and we planted some plants that we didn't even know what they were. And turns out they were zucchini. So I had like 10 zucchini. I don't eat that. I don't.
Yeah.
No one eats it. So
Well,
we
Oh,
were
I
just
love
like,
zucchini.
I love
oh,
zucchini
they were
bread.
huge. And so we
Yeah.
were like, what do we do with these? And just let them sit. No
Yeah,
one
you take
eats them.
zucchini and yellow squash, chop them up like this, saute them in a pan with some oil, salt and
that.
pepper. It's best.
Nope,
Or you
not
cut it up
happening.
and put it in bread, zucchini bread.
Well, I kind of like
Yeah.
grated it and froze it with
Exactly.
the intention. Never happened.
Never got there.
That's awesome. Me and my mom, that was our favorite thing as a kid, was making zucchini bread. It's a tradition.
Joe, if you're listening, I love zucchini bread. The little loaves, the big loaves, whatever you want to do. No rush on it. It's available at Kroger, though, if you want to get the ingredients. Anyways, so gardening.
You want to hear a joke about farmers
Sure.
while we're on the topic? Okay, I read this in my church bulletin the other day, so you know it's going to be good. So there was a guy driving his car out a country lane, and he comes around a blind curve in this country lane, and there's two farmers standing right in the middle of the road. Swerves off the road, hits it down the ditch, flies up a bank, triple somersault. The car comes crashing down right in the middle of the field. Two farmers look over and they're like, God, that was close. We were just in that field.
It's terrible. Listen, so growing up, my dad and Papal had their own bluegrass band, and I thought that was the awesomest thing ever. And they would let us, me and my sister, start it off with a joke. And
Oh, wow.
so I always got up there and told a joke, and I will forever be horrified by the memory that I told a joke and no one laughed. And I mean, it plagues me. And sometimes I'll think about that and I'm like, oh, how couldn't you laugh? I was like 6. Why didn't you just give me a pity laugh
Yeah.
even? And my joke was always, it went something like, here's a house and a rooster's on top of the house. Which side did the egg roll off? And it was always dead silent because no one wanted to,
Right. Throw it out.
Yeah,
there.
no. And so I'm like, roosters don't lay eggs. No laughs. And then I would walk off sulking. Yeah.
Yeah, and no
Terrible.
one laughed.
No one. No.
Well, it's more of a riddle than a joke, though.
Well,
You gave them something to go home and
but
think
they were
about.
still supposed to laugh. Yeah, no interaction. So
I would have laughed.
That bluegrass
thank
crowd
you.
can be that way, though. You never know with them.
We're used to telling jokes that nobody laughs
Not
at.
a soul.
yeah, well, me too apparently. So we share that.
Yeah. We should do a comedy special.
Heck yeah, I got
No-
jokes for days,
That's
man.
what I'm saying. Yeah, the three of us, we could each do a set and just no laughs.
You want me to tell you another one?
Well, I've got time.
All right. Did you hear about that zoo?
What zoo?
It only had one animal in the whole zoo,
What was
and
it?
it was a dog. It was a shih tzu.
That was not in the church bulletin.
That one's a little bit edgier, but
Yeah.
I've already blown it on this episode. I'm sorry. I don't know where this is coming from.
Well, I have enjoyed myself today. I always say it does seem to go by quicker than you can ever imagine. How I know that is we're always talking when his alarm goes off. So, well, thank you again so much for coming down, being on the podcast. Thank you for being a crucial part of Team Ohio for Village Caregiving and working so hard in that market to help that office grow and take care of more people and provide more people opportunities for work. So thank you so much for coming in. We usually do toast, but neither of us have a drink right now. So Jeff is just going to toast for us. Toast.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Thanks.
Ray. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Honored to work with you.